All right, we are going. What's up, everybody? This is SANDCAST, beach volleyball with Bourne and Travis Mewhirter, and we have a really special guest today. We got coming all the way in from Latvia just to come on the show. That's it. No other reason is Miss Tina Graudina. How we doing?
We're doing good. I flew here to have like the time zone correct so that I can talk to you at the same time zone. Uh, but like all is good. On the side, I do school and practice, but otherwise, this was the main reason. Yeah, why I came here.
I figured.
Yeah. So like, thank you for having me. Like, it's so cool. Thanks.
Yeah, thank you tons for coming on. We were like just talking about how busy your schedule is. Like you're practicing with Latvia in the morning, practicing with USC in the afternoon, and somewhere in between you fit school in.
Yeah, it's crazy. And like supposedly school should be like the most important thing, but right now in this moment in my life, it's like completely in the background and like I kind of have to like just manage and go through all of it. But yeah, that's this is like the most busy I've ever been in my life ever, feel like. And that's exactly why I took the gap year last year so that I should not have to deal with school, Latvia and USC all together.
Right.
But everything happened the way it happened and now I'm doing this, so
Yeah.
still alive and still moving, so far so good.
Well, at least you're
Second
not
spot on
dealing. At least you're not dealing with practice with Latvia, practice with school, and also trying to qualify for the Olympics. You've already taken
Yeah.
care of that. So
Yeah,
congratulations to you. I haven't seen you since you've done that. That's awesome. That's a huge
thank you.
congrats to you, Tina.
Yeah, that has saved us a lot of nerves, definitely. Like in this past year, I cannot imagine not having secured the ticket right now. I would have been so stressed this whole time. And yeah, it definitely changes your mentality, the way you like look at things, approach things, what you think is more important at the moment. So we're very blessed, definitely.
It's so crazy because there's only like the two world champs teams and the two teams that won that tournament, right?
Yeah,
That are
so
locked in right now. Technically, well,
one.
I guess Brazil. Some countries already picked theirs.
Yeah, so of course the teams that are very high in the world rankings, they know that they will
Right,
get the
right.
spot, but completely officially, there's three tickets that are given out, and we're one of them. And the people that we're among are insane. So it feels like, am I really in the right spot? Like among the Canadians, Melissa and Sarah, like, am I really also going to the same place where they are? But yeah, we are. So
Yeah,
that's really cool.
yeah. It's definitely a rare place to be, and
Mhm.
definitely a place I wish I was right now.
I was about to
We'll
say.
see. The deadline is not hasn't happened yet, so
Yeah, it's coming.
yeah.
I still don't know exactly how that Olympic tournament, like what the format was, because it was like, was it pool play and then
Yeah.
double limb or what? Like, because even like looking at the BVB bracket, I still can't really make heads or tails of it.
Yeah, it was a very weird tournament, definitely. It took us 4 full days, I think, to play it all out. And it was every day we had to play through one pool, and whoever is the last in the pool is like kicked out
Okay.
of the tournament. And we somehow ended up being the last team to barely make it to the next day every day, until one day we wake up and it's the finals and we're like, okay, we are actually here. Because well, you could lose maximum one game per day, I think, and we did exactly that. And if we had lost even one more, we would be out. But three setters, and yeah, another three setter, and somehow it like all ended up on the final Sunday. And and then it was like two semifinals, and the winners of each semifinal gets the ticket.
Okay. Okay. So two teams made it out of that one.
That's right.
Yes.
I forgot
Okay.
that.
Okay. Got it. Because I was like, look at it. It's funny. I feel like that's. Do you watch the King of the Court?
Yes.
Because I feel like that's similar to the King of the Court format, where it's just the
Yeah.
bottom team gets eliminated. You could have like 4 points, but as long as someone else has three, you're good to go. And then you're putting
Exactly. Yeah, you're just trying not to like suck too much like that day, because barely barely make it by. And that's what beach volleyball is so much about. It's not about how great you can play like in general at some one little point in your life. It's about how you can like manage through your how well you can play when you don't play well. And that's why I like really like that tournament. Actually, like gave gave teams like us a chance. And also it was super cool because our Latvian guys, they also qualified through the same tournament.
Oh, nice.
So we got one ticket in each gender, and it was so nice. Like it would have been sad to like that one of us should go home knowing that it was so close and it didn't happen, but we ended up all of us like going home so happy and having the best reception back at home. Like we were received like with the orchestra back home in the airport, and like because it was insane. We truly didn't think that we could accomplish that at that moment, and we ended up being the first Latvian women's team ever to qualify for Olympics. So
Wow.
that's like a big milestone in general. And yeah, and like looking back now, it feels like that's such a big thing, but at the moment we didn't even realize it that much. It was just we were kind of in the moment.
Yeah, that's really cool. Well, congrats. I didn't know that you made Latvian history too. Good
Yeah.
for you guys.
Dang,
Yeah.
that is awesome.
Mhm.
Congratulations. I also hear like that in Latvia, volleyball or beach volleyball specifically is a pretty popular sport where like compared to over here in the US, you know, it's pretty mainstream, and like
Yeah.
Samoilovs, Smedins, those guys are pretty like well-known names out there.
Yes, Samoilovs, Smedins, and Plavins.
Plavins, of course.
They're the like holy trio who have like made beach volleyball public and
Right.
available to Latvian kids. And we have an amazing beach. Like it's so long, the sand is like so soft and nice. It's much nicer than Hermosa Beach. Like I'm sorry, but I will just say.
Well, we're
And
not. Me and Travis aren't from Hermosa, from Cali,
Yeah.
so it's okay.
okay, cool. And or federation, they have been organizing 3-star tournaments for the past 3 years, I think, and they
Mhm.
really want to do a 4-star tournament so that like also American teams would come over, and I would be so happy if that happened because you could get to see my hometown.
Wow.
But yeah, so that's why it's really popular, because we have a nice beach, and also because we have a lot of indoor halls with sand inside so that we can play during winter, because unfortunately it's warm only like 4 months in a year, and the rest of the time you cannot play outside. So having those indoor halls has really popularized beach volleyball in Latvia. But yeah, in comparison to United States, even here in Los Angeles, sometimes I get in an Uber and like they ask me what sport I play, of course, and I say beach volleyball, and they don't even know what that sport is. And I'm like, this is the birthplace of beach volleyball. This is where it all started, and you have no idea. So it's obviously very different situations.
For sure. But I mean, the fact that those three have made it so big, and then I mean, you're on the first female team to make the Olympics. Like, you have quite a platform in terms of growing the sport for the women in your country and kind of leading that path.
Yes. We had a team that there was this team Jurson Minuse who played in 2010, 2009, so some time ago. But we definitely are currently the only women's beach volleyball team in Latvia, and it's, from the one hand, it feels nice to be the only one. You kind of get the attention, the recognition, and everyone likes you because there is nothing else to choose from. But from the other hand, of course, the competition that comes from having other strong players within your country is so good for the development for us as players. So that's like a double-edged sword a little bit, because also for sponsorships, which I cannot take because I'm a college athlete, but my partner, for example, it's easy because they don't have to choose between women's teams. They can just give it to us because we are the only ones. But I hope it will change. And of course, since beach volleyball is becoming much more popular, and we are a little bit kind of starting to become role models to young girls, it's I hope we will have a lot of teams in the future.
for
Well,
sure.
if you're glad that you're the only kind of big team in Latvia, I bet Anastasija is just stoked. She's the only professional. She's there, all the sponsor money.
Yeah.
I get all of it.
Exactly. Yeah, she's very annoyed with me for being at USC and like still sticking to the college rules. But I'm telling her, Nastya, you can take all the money. Like you're good. So yeah, it's again double-edged sword.
Well, I bet. I mean, because she's in town, right? She's in Los Angeles right now.
Yeah, right now,
Um,
yes, she has flown
so
here
are
for
you
me.
guys allowed to train? Because I mean, your USC team is so
Yeah.
good. Are you guys allowed? Like, is Anastasija allowed to train against the USC team? Because I can't imagine there are too many better teams to train against than that
Uh,
USC team.
well, yes, our team this year, USC is amazing.
Crazy.
I don't have words to say like what can you say except for amazing. But yes, Anastasia, she's in town, and we are training. We're not training with USC girls because
Okay.
we train in Hermosa, and of course, and we get the opportunity to train with Ross, Kleineman, Stockman, Kalinsky, Sponsel Clays, Kerry Walsh, and Brooke Sweat. So those
Pretty
are
good
like
lineup.
such amazing, like that's the best training on the planet that you can get. Also, the Canadians are here. So of course we're taking the opportunity of training with them because ultimately they will be the teams that we will have to play against this summer in the most important tournaments.
So she can't be too mad that you're at USC, since that brings her to Los Angeles and you guys are training against all the best teams in the world.
Oh, there's so many factors coming into this situation, which I can even barely touch upon, and like that wouldn't be enough. But yeah, there's a lot of good things and bad things because also living in Los Angeles is expensive,
Yeah.
and yeah, you get all these good things, but then it costs money. So what are your priorities, and like you got to balance everything out. Also for her, it was so hard to get into the country with Corona. She wasn't let in on her plane and had to go through a long process of like US consulate, diplomatic things, ministries, documents, and she ended
Jeez.
up being allowed to come in here.
I'm glad she made it. Good for you
Yeah.
guys.
Yeah.
That's rough. How's the body holding up since you're doing double practices, like training like a true professional and then also as a
Yeah.
collegiate player?
Yes, that's a very good question, Brian. Thank you for thank
You're
you for
hurting. You have like ice on your knees right now, don't you?
Yeah, my body is that's my priority right now. Before I start doing homework, I make sure that everything I need for my body I have, like eat, stretch, and everything. And I mean, I can't really say because I don't know yet, but definitely it's part of my concerns of like overtraining, just simply
Yeah.
because that's the least I want right now, and it's kind of dangerous to do that, to overtrain in a season where we have the Olympic Games coming up. And that's why Dane Blanton, he's so supportive, and like it's really good that he knows exactly the situation I'm in, and he obviously wants me to succeed as best as I can in with Latvia. So he understands that I need to take a day off sometimes from USC, and is like very forthcoming, and like he has given me all his blessings in the terms of me training with Anastasia to make sure that it's going well. Ultimately, that's the priority. Like Olympics, like what else is more important than that? Pretty much nothing in terms of professional volleyball. So I have to. So even by coming back to USC, I feel like some people might not have made that decision and would have taken another gap semester or something like that just to train for Olympics. But the system that USC offers here is just so perfect and good, and the volleyball is at such a high level that I feel like for me it still was a good decision to come back here.
Is it nice too to have something to take your mind off of the Olympics a little bit? I know that the Olympics are obviously the priority, but having just school or a distraction to keep you so dialed on just the Olympics. Because I know that,
Yeah.
you mentioned Sponsel and Clays, where Kelly, she was like, I just want to do something other than talk about the Olympics for once.
Yeah, definitely. And I actually don't think about it at all because we have already qualified. So all I have to do is just
True.
wait for the dates to come by and the tickets to be in my hands.
Right.
This is so privileged. It sounds so crazy to say that. But yeah, I don't think about Olympics at all at this moment. It's just focusing every day on every single practice and making sure my body feels okay. And being in school and being together with my like friends and classmates that I left behind my sophomore year before taking off for the gap year. It's so nice to be back because the amount of social life, even with Corona, like we don't see people, but there's still this sense of social things happening by being on a team. I love that so much, and I'm so happy to be back.
For sure. I remember coming to USC from Hawaii, and I felt like I was from a different country coming over here. And like,
Yeah.
I mean, just being in the college atmosphere is so unique. And I think it's probably more unique in the US versus Europe.
Yeah.
But how was that experience before all the Corona stuff hit? Just going to a school like USC and experiencing like, I mean, everything, the social life, and just, you're basically treated like a professional athlete there, even though you're not.
It's crazy. The culture shock I had my freshman year was insane in terms of how also all the kids that go to USC as freshmen, they're so wild. They feel like, okay, I'm away from parents for the first time ever in my life. Let's go out every single day. Yeah, like drink and party and all the like, how USC has the reputation of a party school, which I think is kind of like changing a little bit right now, but like still this it for me coming from Latvia, I actually, when friends would ask me how it's going, I would say, imagine a movie where you see a college party. That's exactly how it is like, and that's wild for anybody who's from Europe. That's wild to imagine that those things actually exist in real life. So I definitely am happy to have experienced these moments in life.
Yeah, because my wife grew up in Europe, and she kind of explained that like drinking wasn't that big of a deal when you're younger. But in the US, it's like a big deal to not drink. Not that everyone doesn't, but to not drink. And then when you go to college, everyone goes crazy and just like blows up and drinks all the time. And Europeans are like, why would I chug this vodka straight from the bottle? Like, I'll sip it, maybe make it taste good, but like, you guys are crazy.
Yeah, and also the red cups, they're like almost they're the most famous thing that we know about Americans in Europe. I was sending pictures of me drinking from no, okay, I can't say that maybe. No, I was sending pictures of the red cups to my friends back at home because it's such a symbolic like thing. You see it all the movies, and you can't really buy red cups in Europe. So that's I think, very special.
I don't know why they're all red too. Like that's totally right, 100%. You're at like a party, like the frat parties at SC, just like red cups everywhere. Littering the ground, and
I can see that image in my mind perfectly.
Yeah, I still smell it, and I'm 10 years out.
Oh. Okay, so that means it stays with you forever. That's nice to know.
Man, SC, oh my God, yeah.
So it was
US, and I agree, and I know what you're talking about. It was so
even for you, it was shocking then.
Yeah, it was for sure.
Okay, wow.
The frat life, I was like, I'll do parties, but I'm not joining. No, I didn't do it. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of the girls on our team are in sororities, but the rule is that as long as it never interferes with volleyball, you're allowed to do it. So far everyone has managed that very well, and it's nice to have, yeah, so you can do it if you want.
Right, yeah, you can. Most of my team was in frats and all that. It's just crazy when they have to do like the, what do you call it, like rush week, or like
Yeah,
the
or the
first
Pledging.
initiation or
pledging.
pledging.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That,
crazy things.
I don't know how they were showing up to practice like hungover, and like they're like, I got hit with a paddle last night, and like I'm like, what are you guys doing?
Yeah.
Did you do that, Travis? Frat?
Yeah. Yeah, I was in a fraternity. I didn't have to balance it with being a D1 athlete. I was just on the club team, the club basketball team, so it was no problem.
Just straight solo red cups all the time.
Everywhere. But Tina, how can you explain to me, like, how does someone from Latvia get recruited to the US? Like, what was that process like? Because obviously growing up in the US, I know what it's like for Americans to get recruited. You go to camps or tournaments, coach sees you, you stay in touch, and you end up going to college there. But I'm really interested in how the international pipeline to the US works.
Yeah. The key tournaments where you have to play in are the international underage championships.
Okay.
So either the European or World Championships, which are under 18, 19, 20, 21, and Europe World Champs. And so if you play in those and you usually have to play very well to even like try to be recruited in the United States. And then what I have told girls who ask me how they should like approach that, I tell them you just have to like send those videos to coaches and like tell your results, and that's how you get in. But for me it was a little bit different. I was in the World Championships under 17, so I was 16 years old, and for the United States, one of the assistant coaches that they had was Anna Collier.
Okay.
And and the players they were with were Catherine Plummer, Morgan,
Martin?
I forgot, Freeman, yeah, I think, and Haley Holgren and
Okay.
Joy Dennis, and we have pictures of me standing on the podium with them, and it's so crazy to think that we had no idea even that we would be such close friends and on the same team.
Yeah.
But basically my dad, since he has lived in the United States for 30 years, he's very social, so he kind of already had in mind that he wants me to go to the United States for college. So
Okay.
he approached Anna and said, hey, like we would be interested when the time comes. And then basically that was it. And just one day I got a Skype call from Anna from United States. I was so confused, like I had no idea, nothing. And she said like, hey, so apparently the time for when she was allowed to call had happened or something. And yeah, we started talking, and that's how it happened.
Okay. Yeah. Anna was hilarious when I talked to her about that story, because she called the NCAA. And so you're allowed to call it at like midnight in the US at a certain time. But she was like, well, it's past that in Latvia. So what if
Yeah.
I call her past midnight in the US in Latvian time? And the NCAA was like, no, Anna, you got to wait till the US time. So you were definitely high up on her list.
Yeah, I was lucky, I guess. Yeah.
Is going to college to play in the US something that is big in Europe or internationally?
So in most of the European countries, going to college in the United States means that you aren't good enough to play for your national team straight away
Okay.
in your country. So that's like a plan B almost. But for Latvia, I wouldn't say that's the case because our professional like system isn't as developed yet for indoor, at least for beach volleyball. Now I would say it's like very good.
Okay.
But that has come in the recent years. So for me, it was a very hard decision. I had some sleepless nights. Definitely, I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do because there's a little bit of a stigma come here, because there have been 5 or 6 volleyball players before me who have been with indoor volleyball, and all of them have gotten injured, and all of them don't play volleyball anymore because
Really?
of their collegiate careers. And that's why the word spread out in Latvia that like if you go to United States, that's basically it. You're not gonna keep going afterwards, because either you will not want to because you will be just so burnt and so over volleyball, or you'll just not be able to. So that was scary for me to choose that. And I, coming in as a freshman, I remember having the thought in my head that I want to prove everyone wrong in Latvia, and I want to be an example of how I will not disappear, how I will still play for Latvia, still be as patriotic as ever, but just because I study in the United States, it will not change anything else. And the injuries, they do come. And I would say that the collegiate physical training that we have here in the United States, it is pretty rough. It's very weight orientated and very kind of brutal a little bit compared to how I would do my physicals and physical stuff in Latvia. So that is kind of true, but I think it's all about how you manage how you know your own body. And I feel like I definitely have proved the skeptics wrong in the sense that like you can play in college and continue representing your country.
Yeah, I had the same experience when I went to SC. I was getting injured from lifting too much, from Olympic lifting and all that kind of stuff. And eventually I actually told the weight coach that I wasn't going to do any more barbell lifting, basically Olympic lifting. And if the team was doing Olympic lifting, I'll do it with dumbbells. I tweaked the whole system, and so it worked for me.
That's so good. That's so like admirable that you were able to say that to your coach.
Yeah, I
And
felt like an
carry it
outcast a
out.
little bit, because everyone's trying to push weight and like, tracking their numbers and trying to get it to go up. But I was sitting there with back problems after every single time.
So you got to change something.
Yeah. I think it's the football mentality. A lot of the weight trainers in college come from, they've trained the football players or the basketball team. These guys they're built for weight. They're built to hit each other, and they have a lot of muscle, but we're skinny. Us volleyball players are skinny. So we kind of break with all that, unless you're Travis.
And like when you look at it, it actually has almost no correlation at all about how heavy you can lift and how well you play volleyball. Yeah, your vertical might increase for like 2 or 3 inches, which might not even make that much of a difference, but the actual skills and the mental part of volleyball is so much more important. That like the weights aren't that important. But I still, like, right now this year I'm really loving our strength and conditioning coach Jill, and like the way she works with us. So I'm satisfied with that right now.
Nice. I think times are changing as well. Like people are realizing there's a lot of trainers out there that are going to more bands and body weight and isolated workouts. And like you look at Tom Brady's not doing the same stuff that the linemen are doing. I guarantee you that.
Yeah.
He's doing stuff that's good for his body. There's a reason he can still play. I'm with John Hyden's trainer, so I'm doing that kind of work. I think it's just
so
a new
cool.
thing. Yeah.
It's going to
and you feel like
Good, Tina.
Yeah,
sorry.
you feel like you can you feel like you can push yourself right now because nothing hurts right now, but it all accumulates, and like in 10 years you will maybe look back and be like, why did I like make my body go through all this? So in the long term, I feel like definitely less weights, well, for beach volleyball players, is definitely a good thing.
Yeah, it's been awesome going to a volleyball specific trainer with Christian at USAV, because we just moved into like a new block because I'm playing Doha in like 3 weeks, and he's like, it's not about how much you lift, but how quickly you're able to lift the weight. So we dropped everything by like 70%, and it's like it's made a world of difference in just like the last week. So like, all right, this feels way better.
Yeah, good for you. I feel like Yeah, we all should like talk about this.
Well, I mean, really, you're not trying to train. There's science behind why weight works, obviously, but first of all, you can isolate muscles. You're trying to work the muscle, not like the tendons and the joints and all that kind of stuff, really.
Yes.
So if you can isolate it
Mhm.
and get that one muscle to work just as hard as it would with, hundreds of pounds on your back, instead you just isolate that one muscle, you're working it the same amount. So I think a good trainer, I don't think anyone could get my vert much higher than it is right now. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm jumping as well as I ever have in my life, and I don't lift much weight.
That
Probably
sounds
nothing above,
very,
yeah,
yeah.
60 pounds or something.
That sounds very logical, actually, reasonable. Yeah.
Yeah, try watching you block today. I looked at Kyle. I was like, I can't make that move that big when we were doing the blocking drills.
Oh, like the steps.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna make a move like half that size, I think.
Yeah, I keep wanting Trevor. I keep like trying to open up his a little bit. I'm like, why doesn't he step in my footprints? I guess I just take bigger steps. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh,
Um,
interesting.
Tina, so if I'm wondering how big was it when Plavins and Smedins won bronze in
Brown.
2012? Because was that the first time that Latvia had really done something big in beach volleyball?
Yes.
Okay.
So, okay, so quick Olympic history of
Yeah.
Latvia's beach volleyball. First ever appearance was Samoilovs Plavins in Beijing 2008, and they were the only team to beat Dahlhauser and Todd Rogers, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Uh, and they were the only, and they were young. They were 21 years old, and they were the only ones to beat them. And Dahlhauser later on got the gold medal. So that was like already a proud moment for our nation. And then in London 2012, Plavins with Smedins got the bronze medal, which was huge because we only ever get about 1 or 2 or 3 medals in Olympics in general. So every single one of those is celebrated as the best thing ever. And I remember watching the game for the bronze medal and just like I even get goosebumps right now remembering that moment. And after they got the medal, that's when the boom started. That's when all the indoor halls started being built. That's when I think I started practicing even. So definitely was a big wave of like popularity, and also they were so liked by the Latvian people in general. They were also like young and like just like, yeah, everyone liked them so much.
For sure.
And yes, and then after the Olympics, after London, Smedins got together with Samoilovs, and they also did super good. They were #1 in the world for 2 years in a row, I think, and just stacked so many medals together. So we got almost used to them winning all these world tournaments all the time. And like when they wouldn't, if people would like write in comments like, why such a bad start, why only 5th place, and
Yeah.
and they really like raised the standards really high for the men's side. And then after, I would say around 2017, that's when me and Anastasija started kind of playing and going on the world tour. So it was such a moment to be together in the same tournaments with them, who have been playing since 2008 with Dahlhauser, have gotten bronze medals, and we are sitting at the same table with them. And I remember looking at how through the TV how they got the 3rd place in London. So it's crazy to think how it all has turned around. And they're legends. They have marked their footsteps in Latvian sports history for sure. And I'm so lucky to have their experience and advice at any time when I want, because we're pretty close on the tour. We like eat dinner and like hang out a lot together.
I also think those guys are some of the more social players on tour. Like I feel like I'm good friends with them just being on tour with them, and they're chatting with everybody. I could DM them at any time. They're just very charismatic people in general and very friendly, all of them.
Yeah, that's nice that you think so.
I hate when they're winning all the time, but other than that, they're fun to hang out with after.
Yeah, they have their humor, their like rough humor going on. They always like make fun of each other. So the goal is to not to get offended. So whoever is the first one to get offended, that's the person who loses. So me and Anastasija, we don't even talk. We just listen because it's so much to listen to. They love to talk and they love to have someone who's listening to them. So we have a mutually beneficial relationship on the tour.
Yeah. Love it.
You know who loves Plavins is Jake Gibb. Jake thinks Plavins is the funniest person he's ever met. Yeah.
I thought you were about to say Sam Pedlow because they're really good friends.
Are they? Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Jake and Rich Lamborn both think that Plavins is hysterical. And watching him and talks on the court, you'd think that they hate each other. The way that they like communicate, but I guess they get along pretty well.
No comments. No comments here. Yeah. That's national secrets that I'm not going to.
Smart.
Is it pretty cool for you to be in a situation where like, you guys are kind of in a role similar to what Janis and Martins were in 2012, where you and Nastia you're the first women's team to be in the Olympics, where someone, little girls when they're 12, 13 could be watching you guys on TV in 2021 and saying, that's the reason I want to start practicing beach volleyball.
Yeah, that's crazy to think because I was in that situation. That's one of the things I really like about playing beach volleyball because it's like a performance. You are there to entertain and you're there to show your best, but you're also there to like inspire and to make people want to be like you and like be able to have the same skills as you. So to inspire is definitely one of the things that make me love this sport because this is one of the ways how I can do that. I'm not as talented in the other ways to inspire people. So yeah.
And how was it getting to be home kind of after you qualified? You had a full year pretty much at home this past year. Was it a little different after you qualified being in Latvia?
Yes, so I took the year off because I thought that I will need the whole fall, the whole spring, and the whole summer to qualify, but we ended up qualifying already in September. So it was only like 4 weeks into school, and I was kind of disappointed because I had all this year off. I could be studying right now, and I could be finishing my school a year earlier, which would be a big deal. And I ended up having no school, no volleyball, which is crazy. And I ended up enjoying the year very much. I visited my friends in different countries to which I couldn't go earlier, and just be with my family. And it was different in many ways, but also like I really love this year because all the small things are very nice and made me happy. There weren't any big things happening, but the small things were something that made me really enjoy this gap year.
Yeah. And now everything came back all at once. You got volleyballs back, and you got volleyball in college, volleyball as a professional, schools all the way back. That calendar filled up quick.
Yeah, please save me. No, I'm joking. These are the kind of problems you want to have. You want to, like, nobody would say no if they, like, everybody would want to switch into my situation, even though it is hard.
Right.
Like it feels like there aren't enough hours in the day, and like all the books that I have here that I have to like read for school, just looking at me at every moment. But
It
yeah,
stresses me
I
out.
will manage.
It stresses me out just thinking
Yeah,
about homework and school
I thank
again.
you for the sympathy.
Oh man, I barely made it through.
And
Yeah,
what are
thankfully I'm a pretty good student. I have like a pretty good memory in the sense that I remember what I read, so that helps me so much. Otherwise, I would be in a really big trouble.
That was me. Can't read very.
Yeah.
I couldn't read very well at that point.
What are you studying at school, Tina?
I am studying a very serious thing. I'm studying political science.
Okay.
It's something that I'm just interested in. It's kind of in my family. My dad studied political science, is into politics, so I kind of grew up around it. And I did want to I think I eventually want to be a teacher at some point in my life, but I was sad to hear that it's a 6-year program here in the United States. In Latvia, for example, I could study for 4 years and go teach in a school. And since I kind of knew that I will not be able to be here for 6 years, I stuck with the politics, and I'm happy. I like it. It's like very informative on in general how world works, and especially this year taking the politics classes were so interesting because the insights from the professors that we could get about all the elections, the like pre-election things, after election, it's been very interesting.
Wow.
I bet it was quite the interesting major to have this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. The classes were full. Everyone was attending all the time.
Yeah. So what's your schedule look like this year? I mean, obviously we don't know much with the FIVB. They've only put out a couple events. But so you have USC starting. Your first match is what, the 25th?
Yeah, exactly. Against Pepperdine.
Okay.
Home courts. Yeah, so I'm actually not really sure about our USC schedule. Pretty much after February 25th, I think we'll have a match every single week. I think something like that. But with the FIVBs, we made a decision with Anastasija that we will not go to Doha, because for me it would cause a lot of it would take a lot of energy to do that with the quarantine stuff that USC requires. I would end up having a 20-day trip to go to Doha and be able to start training again. And ultimately, I feel like for us, we are on a different boat a little bit, having qualified. So the benefits at the end of it all, I feel like are better if I stay here and train every day instead of for the 4 days of tournament that I could get. I would miss so much more afterwards. So our first FIVB will probably be much later this year.
Okay. Well, that's a cool situation you're in where you get to pick and choose which FIVBs you get to go to. That's quite the luxury, especially for your first Olympics. It's awesome.
Yeah, I know, right? It's crazy. And Dane kind of he of course has told us a lot about his experience with the Olympics, and he said how in Sydney they would barely qualify and always be on the edge, and he said how being on that edge all the time, being alert all the time, was the kind of one of the factors that he thinks played into them being so ready for the finals and getting the gold medal. And then I'm the opposite, where I've been chilling basically the past year, and will go into Olympics with more like of a relaxed background, while he was so intense and so like had to work so hard to get there. So I think we'll see how it goes, and yeah, I think there is no right or wrong or good or bad. Everything, like whatever comes at you, you just take it and be happy for the good things that come out of it.
Yeah, for sure. That's a super unique perspective to gain from Dane, actually, and then just to acknowledge that you're in a different situation. You know, neither is
Yeah.
better or worse, but just to understand that it can be different when you're coming from different paths to the Olympics. So
Yeah.
you could plan accordingly, I guess, right? Where you're trying to like ramp things up and get your level of play where it needs to be, whereas he's like just trying to qualify, like in a finals mindset at all times,
Yeah.
which could be draining. I'm sure.
Definitely mentally. And I feel like if you have really good coaches who know you very well and or
Mm,
know that they will be able to put you at your best at that exact moment in time, I think then it's better to be in our situation because
right.
that's the peak and we know we'll be there.
Yeah.
But with going into every tournament as if it's live or die, that's a different mentality and it's physically draining very
I,
much and you have to be like at your best all the time
yeah, and I don't think Dane would have chosen that path if
if
he
he
had
had
the
the
choice.
choice.
I don't think anyone would have.
Definitely.
But that's cool to just hear that story. I feel like I'm in Dane's shoes, to be honest, for
Yeah, well,
for years.
yeah, unfortunately, that's like most of the players, most of the day way.
Yeah.
And like, I honestly don't even know, like that's so inspiring that like that's so crazy how you've had to be needed to be on this standstill for this year, not knowing anything. So that's crazy. Yeah, I hope it all works out for you.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Just different, I think. Everyone's got their own different paths, and there's gonna be
Yeah.
so many different factors that come into like how you're feeling and how you've trained and everything going into it. It's like you can't really try to plan for it. You just take it as it comes. And
Yeah. And ultimately, this is a historic moment in general. So we'll remember it for sure for the rest of our lives. And yeah, that's all.
for sure. Yep. I
Well,
agree.
Tina, I know those books are staring at you, and we want to be mindful of your time. So I don't want
Yeah,
to take,
they are.
I know you have a super busy schedule, but it was great getting to catch up and chat with you here. Welcome back to the U.S. It's good to have you back and
Yeah.
training in Hermosa and at SC.
And next time when you walk by where we train, like wave. I'll wave back.
For sure.
Okay.
Where
I'll,
where are you guys training?
South side of Hermosa Pier.
Okay.
Pomp's got his
Where-
little
Unless
training.
we're training with somebody else. So
Right.
Pompilio, he's starting to leave the nets up at 8th Street. People are getting a little bit more bold leaving their nets up. It's nice to see like a lot more staying up in Hermosa. Because
yeah.
for a while, Tina, like it was bare. Like there were no nets anywhere in Hermosa. So
I heard that some courts had mounds on them to
yeah.
make people not play.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
You just have
Yeah.
to play sand dune volleyball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The desert. Mhm. All
Next
right.
time,
Yeah.
next
Thank you
time I
very much.
stop by, I'll make sure to say hey.
For sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Thanks for
Definitely.
coming on. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah. I mean, this is so cool. We get to talk about volleyball for an hour and that's so nice in general. So thank you guys.
Thank you.
For sure.
I'll send you everything when it goes up.
Perfect.
Okay.
All right.
Have a good
Have a
one.
good evening then.
All right.
I'll actually go and start studying now. So yeah. I hope your evening is better than mine, but
I'm gonna go eat
right
and go to sleep.
on.
Fight on.
Right
See you
on. Yeah, I
guys.
love that.
See ya.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.